Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the hidden trap lurking inside the new AI tools your firm is handing you right now. You see, the financial advisory industry is undergoing a massive shift, and the narrative we're all being fed, well, it isn't quite the whole story. We're going to break down exactly what artificial intelligence is doing to your role, your value, and ultimately, your future.
We all know the corporate headline, right? I'm sure you've heard this exact phrasing in your recent company meetings. Firms are promising their AI rollouts will make you a faster, better, supercharged version of yourself. And hey, the pitch is incredibly compelling. Less busy work, deeper insights, more time for your clients. But what does that actually mean when the rubber meets the road?
Well, here is the stark reality, especially for the bottom two-thirds of advisors. These tools are quietly rewriting your value. When you implement these highly efficient systems, they aren't just acting as your friendly assistant. They're actually establishing a baseline. They're taking your completely unique workflows and just forcing them onto a standardized track. The help you're receiving comes with a pretty massive hidden cost to your individuality as a professional. Section 1. The pattern. What firms say versus what's actually happening. There is a massive gap between the firm's promise and the actual impact on your day-to-day role, and we need to look closely at how this standardization happens. First, let's look at the tools themselves. The firm promise is that they're giving you better tools. AI co-pilots, internal knowledge systems, that sort of thing. But the reality? You're receiving pre-structured thinking. When firms deploy these co-pilots to centralize knowledge, the system starts suggesting the answers. And if the system suggests the answer, you are no longer the origin of that answer. The system is. You aren't just getting smarter tools, you're getting a predefined way to think. It's kind of like bowling with the bumper lanes permanently up.
Then there's the promise of speed. We're helping you serve clients faster. And it's true. AI absolutely compresses your research, your planning, and your communication time. But here's the catch. Speed used to be a massive differentiator. If everyone compresses their research time because they all literally have the exact same AI, speed is no longer unique. Nobody is actually more valuable just because they're fast. Fast is now just the baseline expectation. Being fast doesn't make you a superstar anymore. It just means you have a working Wi-Fi connection.
Next up is the client experience. Firms promise to enhance it by using AI to generate your emails, summaries, and recommendations. But when the AI generates these things, the outputs start to look the exact same across different advisors. Sure, your client experience becomes cleaner and maybe more consistent, but essentially, it becomes much less you. The nuances, your personal phrasing, the specific way you present an idea, all your differentiation just disappears into a perfectly polished, completely generic output.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that third step, the part no firm will ever say out loud. Yes, AI improves your efficiency. Yes, it reduces your differentiation. But the real shift is that control is quietly shifting away from you and moving toward the system. The system begins to define what good looks like, how the work gets done, and where your specific role actually begins and ends. And this brings us to a critical threshold. Think about these parameters for a second. The system now has a broader centralized knowledge base than you do. It can recall and respond infinitely faster than you can. And through its workflows, it guides how you operate. Once the system achieves these three milestones, you are no longer operating independently. You're operating within parameters set by the technology. Your unique value is actively being absorbed.
So let's imagine a critical moment with a client. This is the moment that really matters. You're sitting across from them, and they look at you with a complex, highly personal financial dilemma, and they ask, "Should I do this?" Historically, this is exactly where you earn your fee. This is where your expertise shines. But in this new automated workflow, what actually happens? The system processes the input, the system generates the recommendation, and it just hands you the response. You simply act as the delivery mechanism. You just read the output. Essentially, you become a highly paid human printer, just repeating what the machine generated based on the firm's centralized parameters. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole problem. If the system defined the answer, shaped the process, and guided the outcome, who actually made the decision? And more importantly, who is the real advisor in the room?
Section 2. The Emerging Advisor Divide. This dynamic we're talking about is forcing a massive wedge into the industry right now, separating professionals into two distinct camps based on how they interact with these new tools.
You can clearly see this pressure forming from the top down. At the bottom, you have the red risk zone. Here, AI is literally replacing your value. The system gives the answer, guides your decisions, and you just deliver it. It makes you totally standardized and, frankly, replaceable. In the middle, yellow caution zone,
AI runs your execution. You're faster, you're busy, but your outputs look exactly the same as everyone else's. But contrast that with the top, the green growth zone. Here, you own the problem. AI merely supports your thinking. You create irreplaceable value, leading to true authority.
Breaking that down further, we see these two emerging personas. The system-enhanced advisor sits in that bottom two-thirds. They follow the AI, they deliver standardized outputs, and, well, they are easy to scale and easy to swap out. On the flip side, the authority-based advisor uses AI strictly as leverage, not as direction. They own the problem and they make the tough, nuanced decisions that a system simply cannot make. They are the ones producing tangible alpha.
Section 3. Reclaiming your unowned alpha. So the absolute crucial point here is how you stop executing blindly and start reclaiming your unique professional value.
First off, we have to completely reframe the fear. The threat isn't that a robot with a briefcase is going to sit at your desk tomorrow and fire you. No way. The real risk is much quieter. It's the compression of your value. The question isn't, will AI replace me? The real question is, how much of my value gets compressed into the system before the client even notices?
To fight this compression, you need a brand new mental filter. See, most advisors look at a new firm-provided tool and ask, hey, does this make my job easier? Actually, scratch that. That is the exact wrong question. Instead, you need to be actively asking yourself, what part of my value just got absorbed by this system? Every single time the firm helps you, you have to evaluate what piece of your professional autonomy you're trading away for convenience.
Once you realize your value is being absorbed, the solution becomes crystal clear. You absolutely do not need more prompts. You don't need more firm-provided intelligence or more automation. What you actually need is decision ownership. You need to fiercely protect your ownership of the client's problem. You need behavior that you completely control before, during, and after a high-pressure client interaction.
We need to fundamentally redefine your worth. For years, we thought of advisor alpha as having the absolute best information, or the fastest research. But guess what? AI has completely commoditized information. True advisor alpha is not information. It's your human behavior, your empathy, your judgment, and your steady hand under pressure. It's the behavior that holds up when the market drops and the client panics, the exact things a language model literally cannot replicate.
And this is the most vital distinction in this entire explainer, the one that keeps your positioning sharp. AI doesn't just broadly replace advisor alpha, it replaces unowned alpha. AI only eats the value that you willingly surrender. If you give up the decision-making process to the machine, well, the machine takes the credit. But if you own the decision, the machine just becomes your calculator. Firms are successfully building AI to scale execution. That's a fact. The train has completely left the station on that one. So you have to ask yourself a hard question as we wrap this up. If you don't build yourself to own the decisions, to stop simply executing and start truly advising, what part of your unique human value are you going to lose first? Think about that the very next time you hit generate on your firm's newest tool.